Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to be my summoning session on the brand new Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase featuring Gala Leif. This showcase is particularly exciting since not only has Gala Leif been given an appearance rate up, but we also have some new non-Gala adventurers and a new non-Gala dragon that are also on focus here. So of course, I'm talking about Zhu Bajie, Radiant Xuan Zang. For the dragons, we have Shan Wujing. And then at 4-star, we also have Sha Wujing. Now, Sha Wujing is going to be my target today. We're going to summon until we get him, and then we'll make a determination based on how high our pity rate is of whether or not we want to keep pulling. And as we summon, I guess I'll also give some updated impressions on these characters now that they're actually available and in the wild, or at least data mined. We know things like their SP cost, we know things like their damage modifiers, so hopefully some of that commentary will give you a better idea of whether or not you want to pull. This does look like a very high value Gala showcase, so I will say that. The main thing for me is I want to be conservative with my resources. I'm aiming for that 100,000 Wormite, I'm aiming for 100 singles, I'm aiming for 10 tenfold. We're going to burn into some of it here, but I would prefer not to burn into a lot of it. I don't know, I just want to be disciplined. I feel like I've been a little frivolous with my summoning lately. You saw my mistake a couple videos back where I even summoned on the wrong banner. I mean, I went really hard for Mitsuba, as many of you know. So I want to be a little bit more judicious, so we're mainly going to go for Sha Wujing. If we get him early, we'll spend the rest of the time just talking about the banner, but it may take some time, so let's get into it with our singles. We're getting a 4-star immediately. Is it going to be Sha Wujing? It's a lance. Are you kidding me? Okay.
My weapons are the best and the most terrible.
Ooh, I like his voice. This is the first time I've heard his English voice, and thank you for those of you who actually watched my story video and told me about the Bleach character he was reminding me of, Mayuri. But just in general, his design looks like it could fit in with some of Kubo's designs. Actually, his model looks so good. His model looks so detailed. Wow. Well, we got it first try. Obviously, we haven't built up a pity rate here. So let's talk about this guy, and let's talk about everything else on the banner with the updated information we know. This might honestly be all my summoning here since I got what I wanted pretty much, and I wouldn't mind saving up, being a little bit conservative for a while. So the things I was going to say about the characters here with the extra detail we have is that for Gala Leif, it looks like his play pattern revolves around using Feathered Gale, switching stance to shielding stance, and then using your parrying slash. The Feathered Gale reduces enemy defense, and then the parrying slash deals extra damage to foes with reduced defense, plus it causes poison, but moreover, it just has a really high damage modifier. It's like over 2,000%, which is excellent. His skills also both charge relatively quickly, and as it turns out, the defense reduction effect on Feathered Gale, it can't stack across multiple Leifs in co-op. It looks like that stacking is still exclusive to Dragalia Malera, who for some reason has the same text, but for her, it does work. For other characters like Gala Alex, for example, and now Gala Leif, it doesn't work, you're not allowed to stack it. It does last a long time though, which is quite nice. So that does seem to be his play pattern, Feathered Gale into parrying slash. Another detail about him that wasn't known before today, really, when they put out a Twitter video explaining this and when people started summoning him, is that his stances, his striking stance and his shielding stance, actually have two different basic attacks. So the striking stance does the sword combo but faster, and the shielding stance does it sort of slower, but you get more SP and you deal more damage. So it's cool. It looks like he is an interesting character to play, kind of mind-melting because you get up these skills so quickly, and although I think often you'll want to just Feathered Gale into parrying slash, it's going to be tough to master this character, I think, and get to that optimal DPS that you see in things like simulations, just because you want to remember all of the things that you have in your back pocket by switching stances. I think it's a really cool design, and honestly, I mean, if we hadn't just gotten super lucky here with our Sha Wujing, I might have liked picking up Gala Leif. But I don't think I'm going to continue going for him unless we get a preview of the next banner, and maybe then I'd decide to summon more on this one. So now let's talk about Radiant Xuan Zang. The main thing I want to mention here is one thing I neglected to say last time was I could honestly see her being extremely good for the raid event with her having poison res and focused on debuffs. Debuffs do scale up really good in raids. They work really well there. I mean, this is going to be a new raid and we're getting Omega 2. So we have no idea or context for how hard that is going to be. We don't even have Nightmare yet, let alone Omega 2. So honestly, I could see her being a big player in that type of raid with how much strength reduction she can cause and how much shadow resistance you give to your team. Maybe there's some really hard checks on your survivability, and in that case, she might end up being essential there. So I just want to point that out as a possibility, and I'll also mention one neat detail about how her abilities work that's now known is to reduce enemy paralysis resistance, uses that Force Strike off her first ability. However, the way that it works is it's actually a temporary or timed reduction of 20% to the enemy's paralysis resistance. So it's not like it's permanently resetting their affliction resistance, it just opens up a window in which you could afflict them with paralysis again and thereby maintain paralysis for a longer part of the match. So that's really all I want to say on her. Zhu Bajie, the main thing I want to comment on is we now know how his Force Strike works, Rampaging Boar. This Force Strike is not like the normal Axe Force Strike, it's more linear in its nature. It's kind of like a shoulder charge that he does, and you can charge it up to 3 times. The notable thing being, on that third charge, you get a lot of SP off this Force Strike. You get 1400 SP, and as it turns out, that works out perfectly because Bursting Fury costs exactly 2800 SP, meaning 2 of those level 3 charged Force Strikes is enough to pull off a Bursting Fury. So I could really see his play pattern centering around using his Force Strikes twice, and then using Bursting Fury as soon as it's available, and basically alternating between those. I'm not sure about the damage mods off the top of my head on Rampaging Boar, to where I'm not sure if he actually wants like a Force Strike centered worm print, but it's quite possible. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, and that's cool. It gives him a unique play pattern, and I would have liked to get him too. I mean, all of these things look quite good. It's just, I don't really have a need for any of them just yet right now. So now, Tieshan Gongzhu, I really don't have anything else to add on her. I still think Popstar Siren's generally going to be a better investment, so I really don't have too much else to say about her compared to what was known during the preview. But Sha Wujing is a character who wasn't previewed at all, and I'll talk about why I wanted to summon him here today, and also just his kit for the first time since now we actually have it available. His first skill is called Crash Armament. This has skill shift, so the first time you use this, you're going to deal light damage. The second time, you're going to also cause a 5% debuff to enemy defense for 10 seconds, which doesn't stack. And the third time, you're going to refill the Obstruction Armament, which is his second skill's gauge, by 30%, and increase the damage on the Crash Armament. So he seems centered around debuffs as well, because Obstruction Armament creates a debuff zone that lasts for 10 seconds and reduces the defense of enemies inside it by 15%. And it's actually shareable. It's our first debuff zone that is shareable, at least to my memory, because Delphi's skills weren't shareable, Halloween Mim's first skill was not shareable, and Valentine's Melody's first skill was not shareable. So now we actually have a shareable debuff defense zone. That being said, when you share this, the SP cost is pretty high. It's like over 13k. So I'm not sure how good it is, and with Elemental Tomes still being scarce, I mean, we only have the shadow ones we got as compensation from the Yaten bug. So with those still being scarce, I wouldn't rush to invest into this until we have more data, more testing on it. But still, I like his kit here with the centered nature of it and kind of like the focus on debuffs. I like that about it. Let's move on to his co-abilities. Both provide HP, the chain and the regular one, so that's nice. It's a great source of extra HP on characters who may want lots of HP. And then his abilities, I think this may be the weakest part of his kit. Ascending skill plus 6% increases skill damage by 6% for the remainder of the quest every time the user uses a skill, up to 3 times per quest. So, at a glance, this looks okay. It scales up to 18% total, and you may be thinking, you know, a lot of characters just have like passive 25, 30%, 35% skill damage in their kits. Why would I only want 18%? What I have to assume here is that this is a visible buff icon, putting it in a different bracket than those invisible skill damage buffs or passive abilities. So I think that this would basically work multiplicatively with those. If it doesn't, then it's just straight up worse than them, so that could be the only saving grace here I can imagine. And then Curse Res plus 100%, which is okay, but I'm looking at this raid. I don't know, Poison Res might be important. And then Assailant Strength plus 8%. Increases damage to enemies with less than 70% of their max HP remaining by 8%. This is actually kind of ambiguous because it's called Strength, so you would think that this increases your strength by 8% against enemies of this type, but it says it increases the damage. So the ambiguity here is that if this increases your strength by 8%, then that's going to be additive with all your other strength increases and passive abilities that you have, making it slightly worse. If it actually does what it says and increases your damage by 8%, then obviously that's better. That's just a straight up 8% damage increase regardless of how many strength passives you have on at the time. So a little bit up in the air, but as for why I wanted Sha Wujing, it actually has nothing to do with this kit. It's just from a collection standpoint. I don't want to pass up on a new 4-star character when right now I have all the 4-star characters. I'm more willing to pass up on these 5-star characters and hopefully get them down the road on a gala. But I will say, if future galas are like this and have so many other things on focus, we can't necessarily rely on getting random off-focus stuff as much, because instead of getting just a random Radiant Xuan Zang in a future gala, I'm more likely to get whatever new 5-star adventure is on focus at that time. So there is an argument here for sure to not wait on these characters and get them while they have the appearance rate up. I just don't think I really need them. Maybe we'll see if we get Omega in time while this banner is still up, or maybe if I read a little bit more about it, maybe it's already been data mined, that type of thing. But I think I'm good. I feel like we've preserved our stash, and I'm happy it gets to live to see another day. That is going to do it for today, everyone. I hope that you had as good luck as I did when summoning on this Gala Dragalia. Maybe I'll summon some more. I haven't decided yet. It's still early in the banner's life at the time I'm recording this, so there's a chance depending on what the next banner is. But that is really going to do it for today, though, so let me know in the comments below what you summoned on this, who you were going for and who you ended up getting, or what your impressions are if you got any of the new adventures. I'd love to hear that as well. Like I said, that's going to do it, so thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.